So next to the stage to present, I would like to welcome Thomas Webb.
Thank you. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? So I was actually meant to be doing a talk today with two other people, but they unfortunately couldn't make it to London, so I'm freestyling this, which is a shame because I would have loved to have shown you a bit more about what we're doing given this opportunity, but thank you to NFT.London for keeping me up. So my name's Thomas Webb. I'm the CEO and founder of World Wide Web 3. We're the largest metaverse game on Ethereum right now. We did a mint about a year ago now, raised a few thousand ETH, and we've had over 100,000 players on the Ethereum network, on the Polygon network since then. You can check the website out on your phone, web.game, and then you can also hit our Twitter up, which is World Wide Web 3 on Twitter. But basically what we did a year ago was we had this great big idea that we could make gaming interoperable. What does that mean? And people hear the word interoperable quite a lot, and I think there's a lot of confusion about that. One of the beautiful things about the blockchain is that all of the data on the blockchain is freely accessible by developers, right? So when we create NFTs, the real beauty of it is that the ownership of that NFT is transparent. So I, as a developer, can go on Ethereum. If you log into my app, I can see exactly what you own. So about a year ago, we had this great idea of what if we made a video game where when you log in, your NFT acted as an in-game character. Wouldn't that be sick? All of these NFTs and communities that you could be a part of or you are a part of, the utility of that NFT could expand outside the reach of the project into another project. So we did that. We started integrated CryptoPunks, we integrated the Bored Ape Yacht Club, the Cool Cats, and before you know it, after a month, we had about 30 integrated projects, thousands of players. We clearly had hit gold with this concept. Fast forward a month or two, Bored Ape Yacht Club come out with the other side and do the same thing. They're all about interoperability. You can log into the game, you can play as your ape, you can play as your cool cat, you can play as your World of Women, all of these top-tier Ethereum projects. So, what am I trying to get across here? Well, this is the beautiful thing about the NFT communities, right? If you look at all the projects on Ethereum, what's happening right now is as creators, as developers, what the blockchain really gives us the power to do is to have access to the data of other projects and build on top of those communities in our own worlds. So in my opinion, if you look at games like Fortnite's the biggest game in the world, or Roblox, what Fortnite does really well that a lot of games I think have missed the mark with is bringing IP from other brands into their game. You see it with Darth Vader skins, Rick and Morty skins. It's like trillion-dollar business. Well, it's not, it's billion, multi-billion, but like you get what I'm saying. It's massive. Now, the difference between Fortnite and the blockchain is that when you buy a skin on Fortnite, you don't technically own it. It's stored inside your game login. You have no autonomy over what happens with it. If it's a rare skin, the only rarity factor that really matters is that other players can no longer buy it. But you can't sell it or trade it. And I would argue if you can't sell something, you don't truly own it. And that's what the blockchain solves, as we see with OpenSea. So imagine a game world where when players come into it, if they're an early gamer and they're good at it, they've got a good skill level, they come into the game and they earn a rare skin. And bearing in mind, think about Charizard cards, right? Charizard cards weren't that rare back in the late 90s, early noughties. But now some of those super mint condition Charizard cards sell for $250,000. So it's not really about initial rarity, it's about future rarity, right? So if someone comes into a video game, they're an early player, and they collect a rare item that's only accessible to those at the start of the game. Another good example is in RuneScape with the blue party hat. In the future, if people still play that game, they might value that item like crazy high, and then they want to sell it. They want to trade it. And that gives the game a completely different purpose outside of traditional games where people just have fun. Now it becomes a virtual economy. And if you look at any MMORPG like World of Warcraft or RuneScape, they all have these virtual black markets where people are buying and selling items and skins, which spans into this whole other world, which is the regulation at the moment, where the Gambling Commission in the UK have had to create a whole new law just around skin trading. Is this technically gambling? Is this technically gaming? Are kids gambling when they buy skins in Fortnite? They had to go and define this because it's such a big market, such a big industry. So, what am I getting at here? I can't even remember what the beginning of the talk was, but what we're all about and what we think is the future, and obviously the other side doing the same thing, is that gaming in the future will be about playing a game, connecting with your brand asset, your avatar, your item, which is not a part of the game at all, but has been integrated by the game. Because most NFT projects now, for example, like the Gobblers, right? Justin Roiland and Paradigm just dropped the Gobblers. They did $50 million in transaction sales. This is yesterday this happened, right? Or 2 days ago. Biggest thing on Ethereum right now, biggest NFT project in the space. CCO copyright, right? So anyone can take their Gobbler and use it for commercial activities. Now, what we do, think about this as a concept, we buy these assets and then we build them into our game. So now we have this game where we have all of this IP and it's obtained in a permissionless manner. And what I mean by that is I don't have to go into negotiations with Disney or another brand to get their characters in game. I just have to buy into the brand of an NFT, and then I can bring it in anyway. And it's a completely new approach to how we build things on the internet. For the last 20, 30 years, we've been building on the internet, and if you look at what's happened with Meta and Twitter, we have these APIs that give us a limited amount of data to be able to understand our users. And if you think about gaming as being the next big frontier, I mean, Meta's banking billions of dollars on the metaverse. The biggest problem we have is how do we create in the metaverse when people don't just have stuff inside Meta's wallet. They've got their stuff in Meta, they've got their stuff in Epic Games, they've got their stuff on Twitter. And that's what interoperability on the blockchain is all about. It's about the ability to access what people own, what people have earned, and what people have created, and use that data to augment it inside your experience. So that people have the same user merit, they have the same value as they travel around the internet and interact with different parts on the blockchain. So that's what we're all about, World Wide Web. I can tell you now, it's pretty hard. It's not been easy. One thing we've realized is that there's a whole new side to this, which is the tokenomics side of it. If you haven't seen things like Axie Infinity, there's been this whole new concept around gaming, which is gaming guilds. And gaming guilds are essentially companies that start up, and they buy these high-value assets. Let's use my game as an example. At the moment, in my game, there's 500 people standing outside a vendor inside the main city right now, and they're waiting for that vendor to restock the recipes for a rare weapon. Now, they're doing that because when they get that weapon, they're going to sell it to people for Ethereum, for cold hard cash, right? So what's going to happen in the future, we're going to start to see with these gaming guilds, their business model is that they buy these rare, expensive recipes or weapons, and then there's a protocol inside the game on Ethereum that allows people to loan these items out, to loan these avatars, to loan these recipes, these rare items, out to players to use them to generate value from the game. And then the gaming guild, all written at the contract level, will gain a percentage of that from that revenue. So let's say I'm a player, right? I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm going to say 18 years old so we get around any gambling regulations. I'm 18 years old, and I'm playing a game 24/7, right? But I join a gaming guild, and the gaming guild give me a weapon to use. I'm playing the game like crazy, and 20% of everything I own goes to that gaming guild. Now, these gaming guilds have had millions of dollars invested in them in this concept of how we might approach gaming in the future. And if you look at games like RuneScape, and I use RuneScape as an example because in the early noughties, in the early 2008, 2004, RuneScape had a real problem on its hands. And this is like the largest massively multiplayer game of the time, right? Before we had Ultima Online, which was in the 90s, same thing again. You've got video games where the economy of the video game is similar to that of the real world. And the biggest problem they had was people coming in and extracting value from the game to sell for real cash, right? So they go in the game, they farm like crazy, get all the gold, and then they sell it for dollars. And what's so crazy about the blockchain is the fundamental design of the blockchain itself is that that is a feature, not a problem. And so the problem now in interoperability in gaming that we're trying to work out and try to solve is how do we stop players extracting value but also allow them to extract value? Because people don't like players coming in and playing the game just for monetary value. They want to go in and have fun, which is, if you look at games like Fortnite, that's exactly what people are doing. There's nothing in Fortnite that allows you to pay to win. You're only paying money to change your physical appearance to buy a skin. So that's what's been happening with NFTs. NFTs is all a bit about appearance and being able to flex on Twitter. Like, you know, I bought a CryptoPunk because when I changed my profile picture to a CryptoPunk, people in the space took me more seriously because it showed a membership to an idea, to a concept. And that's been happening across the chain, across the board with NFTs. And so my thought, if you look at games like Fortnite, is that gaming, this is going to be the next big frontier. If you haven't seen the Meta glasses, the new VR glasses, When we have those in 5 years, let's say, I'm going to be bullish on that, 3 to 5 years, you might be looking at me right now, and I might have a CryptoPunk on. You might not be able to see my face. I'll be a CryptoPunk. And so now, my identity is my NFT, which is a crazy old concept. And if you think about Meta as being a sort of gateway into this Ready Player One metaverse, well then, it's a video game, right? Everything we're doing would be a video game. My timer down here would be up here. You guys would be tapping something to give me likes, and I'll see that popping up here. This whole experience could be gamified because everything I'm seeing can be augmented. And so what we're really seeing here with NFTs and gaming, we're seeing the building blocks for the metaverse. And so whilst, I'll be honest, this ain't no metaverse, like it's a pixel art game, but really what we're doing is we're taking the stepping stones, the ideals of what the metaverse needs to be, and we're exploring them right now. And one of them is identity. How do we allow players to be anyone they want at any time? How do we let them log in? How do we let them choose their identity? 2, economy. How does the economy work? How do you stop people coming in, taking control of the economy, taking control of items, stopping people from playing fairly? And then, I don't think there's a third point, actually. Oh, well, yeah, no, there isn't. That's pretty much and cheating, but that's a whole other kettle of fish. You're never going to be able to stop bad actors. So I think one day the metaverse will be this 3D experience, and we're going to start to see, like, don't get me wrong, the other side only got funded, what was it now, 4 months ago? They did their raise from Andreessen, biggest raise of all time, I believe, crazy valuations. They're going to build a great game, and Improbable, the company that they are using to build this game, I don't know if you've seen the other side demos, but if you haven't, we're talking about a game that has taken Google Stadia's streaming technology, right? And you log into this game, and you're not playing the game on your phone, you're streaming the game on a cloud. And it's so quick, you can't really tell the difference. So we're talking about a game that's got these crazy-ass servers, and that allows the game to render thousands and thousands and thousands of players on a low-quality device. Translate that to, let's say the MetaQuest Pro, you're playing a game in VR with a low-quality device, and you can see thousands of people playing at the same time. You can see where we're going. But it's going to take a couple of years to get there, because as you can see with games like Fortnite, Fortnite was built by Epic. Epic built Unreal Tournament 20 years ago. They've been spending a long time trying to get this right, and I think it's going to take some time for the other side to get it right too. But what we're trying to do with our little pixel art game over here is try to work out some of the other problems, which is identity, interoperability, what things can we do with the blockchain, can people lend their items, should people be able to trade their items, The second you make something an NFT, this is a really crazy problem with gaming, we're trying to solve right now. In fact, this weekend, this is what happened. We have this candy in-game that allows you to mint an NFT. And people are earning the candy by playing the video game and getting high scores. And the candy is so valuable that people are selling it on the black market. Now, the candy isn't a token, right? It's not an ERC20 token. But if it was a token, people could trade it anyway. So now you have a video game where people can extract value, and they can trade the token. So it's really like, if they get loads of people to extract that token, you've got this whole black market. Should that be allowed? Is that something you want in the metaverse? How should people earn money in the metaverse, So there's lots of questions we're trying to answer here and approach. But I think if you haven't played this, I recommend you check it out, because it's quite surreal in a weird way to log into a video game and to see all of these NFTs running around. Talking about integration for a second, this is what we did, right? So one of the biggest problems with integration is standards. We've got all of these NFTs, and they all have different 3D models, different textures, and you want to import them all into one space. So if we have a look at VR Chat does a pretty good job of this, but even still, it's not that easy. And so I think one of the biggest issues that we've been trying to solve is how do you get all of these different NFTs that look different and have different appearances all into the same game, inside the same game engine. And so our approach is we built an integration tool where you could draw the character as pixel art, and then tie that separate image, right, that animation of an NFT character, tie that image to the ownership of the token itself. So when you log into the game goes, all right, you own Bored Ape 4473. I'm now going to go onto the Bored Ape API server, grab the animated pixel art version of 443 and load that in, and you'll run around and look like that. So this is what we call non-dilutive NFTs. And we've done this with Cool Cats, we've done this with loads of collections have done this themselves as well. And so this is another concept which is really great, right? This one token that you have can be tied to non-dilutive assets that work in different environments that don't have to be NFTs. They just use the NFT itself as the ownership, as the method for verifying the ownership. And the beautiful thing about that is if I want to sell my CryptoPunk tomorrow, I immediately lose access to the CryptoPunk in the game, and whoever bought it now has access to it. And it's permissionless, and I don't have any control of that. That's just happening on-chain at any time, any price, depending on the market or the demand for that item. So as game designers now, we also have this like crazy demand for making really great games. Because think about this model. We make a free-to-play game. You extract value from the game, but the value is defined by the value of the game. And what I mean by that is if there's 100,000 people playing the game and they get a rare sword for killing a boss, but we only make 100 of them, and 100 of these swords only get given out to the best players, the demand for that sword will be greater based on how many people want the cool sword, because the sword is cool and it does cool stuff. One of the examples is we had a hoverboard, right? The ETH board. 69 of these things, excuse the numbers. But we made this hoverboard and we gave it out for players who defeated this quest we did back in December last year. Obviously, you're at the height of the NFT, pump, and everyone's going crazy. But this hoverboard immediately sold on the secondary market, 69 of them, for $30,000. Think about that for a second. A free item immediately is now worth $30,000 because the demand for the item is so high. So essentially, you're creating an economy not by saying this is the value of my stuff, you're actually giving it away for free. The value of it is the time spent, the time invested in earning it, and how many people want to earn it. And I think a factor of how many people want to earn it is decided by how cool is the game, how much fun is the game, how good does it look, how good does it feel. And I think that's one of the things that the entire NFT space has completely failed to deliver. I have not yet seen, with exception to my game, any game that has been able to deliver a really fun experience that isn't hinging fully or relying fully on tokenomics, DeFi, yield staking, all of these things. But this is why I think so excitable. So we're actually launching on Immutable X, which is sponsor of NFT.London. They've got loads of incredible games like Guild of Guardians, and there's loads of other great games coming to them too, where they're focusing on building fun games first, and then using all of these principles that I've described today as elements that add to the game, not that the game hinges on. So, I don't know how much time I have left, because I think they said I had 15 minutes, and there's a 5-minute speaking time left here, so I really don't know what the vibe is, but I will wrap it up there for questions. Thank you very much. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm Webb Emotional, and you can check out the game on web.game. Thank you.